Hey folks, it's time for the quote of the day, and today's quote is going to come to you from a man that really honestly I think should be more popular than he is, like some of the ideas that he put forward, but unfortunately he just seems to not ever catch on. Maybe it's his name, I don't know. I was trying to think of how to go about talking about him. I have quoted him once or twice before, but I know that since a lot of people don't necessarily, he's not really a household name in America, unfortunately. I know that it can be difficult for folks. And so I came up with a kind of, I don't know, maybe this is kind of too dad jokey, but I'm going to try it anyway. Stay with me. Yeah, I'm sure that you've all heard the phraseology of he wrote the book or they wrote the book on blank, right? Like this person wrote the book on this subject, right? Like I'm sure you've heard that. And like as an example, you could say that like Donald Trump wrote the book on being a scum-sucking, horrifying person that should never have been allowed near the levers of power, and yet somehow has shown us exactly how ignorant and honestly very stupid a good portion of the American populace are. Like he wrote the book on that. So that you see what I'm saying? Like that's well, the man that I'm quoting today, his name is Alexis de Tocqueville or de Tocqueville, uh, and he wrote the book on America. That's what he did. He wrote the book on America, and it's a literal thing. That's why it's a dad joke because he literally wrote the book on America. Now I could give you all sorts of factoids about his life and his upbringing and all that stuff, but there's really no point in that. It's not that important. What is important though is understanding how he came about writing this book. Now in 18, I want to say 30 to 31. I'm not sure about the date there. He was commissioned by the French government to come to America with his friend, his lifelong friend. You might recognize his name, Gustave de Beaumont. Gustave de Beaumont and Alexis de Tocqueville were undertook an assignment by the French government to basically come to America and learn about our penitentiaries. That's not a joke. That's really what they did. They were coming to learn about our prisons essentially. Because I mean, if you think about the time period, then you'll understand that America had a pretty robust prison system at that point in time, if you know what I'm saying. So that's what he came over here for, but he had an ulterior motive. He had long his basically his entire life been very, very intrigued by the concept of democracy. This is something that, he had thought about it. He had, debated whether, like, the merits of it, essentially. And he really wasn't sure what to think of it. And he wanted to come get a firsthand glimpse at it. So, him and Gustav, as I'm going to call him, because I just like that name, got on a ship and came over here and they spent a couple of years just going around like learning about America, learning what American ideals were, learning about the American people and what made us what we are. Now, here's where it gets a little murky. So he goes back and he writes in 1835, he writes a book, right? It's a 2 volume book. He puts out the first volume in 1835, he puts out the second volume in 1840. This book is called Democracy in America. And this book is, without a doubt, one of the most important um, political psychology and political philosophy and like one of the most important books in terms of understanding what politics really is ever written. This is he took all these different like kind of viewpoints on it, perspectives on it. Inside this book, he understood like something of the sociology of it all. He understood the philosophy of what democracy was about. He understood the shortcomings of the American people. And here's the really sad part, and this is the part that you might want to hold on to your garters for this one. But what he writes about in this book, this 2 volume tome, is essentially that America. I mean, and I know a lot of people take it differently than this, but really, what he writes about it hasn't really changed. Like he writes about the systems of government and the way that things are supposed to work and all that, and he got some of it wrong. He did, but there's just this underlying message in his writing of this understanding of what the American people are. And the reality is that we haven't changed since then. Like this was 1835, learning about it in 1831 and writing about it in 1835 to 1840, and we haven't changed as a people. And when I see his commentary, some of which was not actually his commentary, but we'll get to that in a moment. When I see his commentary, when I read some of the things that he wrote, I think to myself, How disturbing and sad is it that we as a people were like, he called a shot back then, and we haven't changed much. We haven't evolved. We haven't progressed, and that tells you the power and the magnitude and the scope of the propaganda machine here in America. We have spent literally fucking 200 years beating our chest about how great we are without ever actually doing any of the things necessary to make us great. And Alexis de Tocqueville said, "This is what Americans do." And he was 100% correct. He was 100% right. He called it. He was like, "Oh, I come over here and I look around, and people are more interested in the stuff they have than they are in actually being, involved in each other's lives." Like there's no way that this society continues. He's like, he loves democracy. He did. He loved the idea of democracy, but he looked at what Americans were bringing to the table and said, this isn't great. These guys aren't exactly the greatest. But, and here's, like I said, this is where it gets dark. Now, since then, people have taken some of the things that he wrote and have paraphrased them. And you see this a lot, unfortunately, with the MAGA crowd. There's just a ton of America's great because of our religion. America's great because of the goodness of our people and things like that. These messages, and shit, I've fallen prey to them to a certain degree, because I'll read them and go like, maybe he did say that, and I'll have to go look it up because it sounds good, right? Like it sounds like something that's pro-America, and so I'll go look it up and be like, oh man, got me. I had to look pretty hard to find something that I actually wanted to quote today, not because he didn't say a ton. He wrote 2 fucking volumes, but because there is so much misinformation around this concept, these books, Democracy in America, that people are just misattributing left and right. There's all sorts of things that are said. He said this and he said that, and he didn't say any of that. And they paint it in a way that, and I've made videos about this before, where it kind of does. It leads you to believe that he came over here and saw how great we were, and he just wanted some of the American experience. He needed some of that America in him. But that's just not how it was. He was moved by the idea of democracy and by the heart of the people that really genuinely believed that this was the way of the future. He believed in the strength and the power of that sentiment, but saw the shortcomings of us as the American people, the shortcomings which we have never addressed because we have been propagandized from day one to tell everybody around us how great we fucking are. And if you're always feeling like you're the best of the fucking best of all things, then you never actually work to become the best of the best. That's where we are as America. We tell ourselves that we're so great. We tell ourselves that we're fucking America's number one, baby, but we're not. We're not number one in anything. We're not number one in anything other than people that think that America's number one. And I think that that is a very fucking important thing to understand. We have been lied to. We have been propagandized. We have been told things that are untrue about ourselves, about our very nature. And looking up a quote by Alexis de Tocqueville is a good example of that. Now, I'm going to read 2 quotes by him back to back. Only one of them will be the quote of the day. The second one will be quote of the day because I can fit that on a card. But this one is important, and I want you to listen to it. The language is a little rough for some folks, but I want you to listen to what he wrote here. This is from Democracy in America, Volume 2. He wrote, "When the taste for physical gratifications among them has grown more rapidly than their education, the time will come when men are carried away and lose all self-restraint. It is not necessary to do violence to such a people in order to strip them of the rights they enjoy. They themselves willingly loosen their hold. They neglect their chief business, which is to remain their own masters." This is 100% where we are. This is 100% where we are as a country. We care more about our things than we do about our duty, our responsibility to democracy, to each other. We care more about our stuff than we do each other. And as the final quote, the quote of the day, and I think that this is a very good one, and it's very accurate. In Democracy in America, he wrote, "I do not know if the people of the United States would vote for superior men if they ran for office, but there can be no doubt that such men do not run." Happy birthday to Alexis de Tocqueville. And to the rest of you, please take care of yourself and take care of others. I'll talk to you soon.